Right now, the entire software industry is racing to build AI agents, and almost all of them work the same way. A large language model sits in a loop. It thinks, it calls a tool, it reads the result, and it thinks again, deciding its next move fresh every single time. Every step is a dice roll. And that's fine for drafting emails or summarizing documents, but nobody wants a dice roll approving their mortgage, settling their insurance claim, or touching their medical record. Regulated industries have a requirement the demo videos never mention. You need to know what an AI will do before it does it. The problem has three faces. Runtime reasoning is slow because every decision waits on a model round trip. It's expensive because every loop, every retry, every reread of context burns tokens. And it's non-deterministic. The same request on Tuesday can take a different path than it took on Monday, which makes it nearly impossible to audit. Pega's answer, shipped in Infinity 26, which went generally available in July, is to turn the whole architecture around. Do the heavy AI reasoning at design time when architects are watching and mistakes cost nothing, and make runtime deliberately, almost aggressively, boring. Here's the split. At design time, generative AI does the creative work in Blueprint, and now in Infinity Studio, it helps you author case types, data models, and workflows. At runtime, a lightweight model does essentially one job: classify what the user wants and select a pre-approved workflow that matches. The agent doesn't improvise a plan. It picks one that already exists, was reviewed, and was tested. Pega calls this predictable AI. The intelligence hasn't been removed, it's been moved. The reasoning happens where it's cheap, reviewable, and version controlled, instead of live inside a customer conversation. And here's the part that will feel deeply familiar if you've spent years on this platform. An agent is a rule. Infinity 26 introduces agent rules and tool rules as first-class rule types. They live in rule sets. They're versioned. They're promoted through environments with the same discipline as an activity or a data transform. Your governance model didn't change, it just got a new citizen. Underneath, nothing was replaced. It's still the deterministic engine, case management, decisioning, service-level agreements, assignments. The AI layer routes work into that machinery. It doesn't get to rebuild it on the fly. Now zoom out, because a single agent was never the interesting part. Infinity 26 ships something called the Agentic Process Fabric, and if you watched our Constellation video, this picture is going to rhyme. The fabric is, at its core, a registry. It automatically catalogs the agents, workflows, and data objects across your Pega applications and systems beyond them into one searchable index of everything your enterprise can actually do. No manual wiring. Registration happens as things are built. When a request arrives, an orchestrating agent consults that registry and routes the work to the right place, to a specialized agent, to a governed workflow, or to a human work queue when confidence is low. One front door, many controlled paths behind it. And notice the quiet implication. The 20 years of workflows your organization has already built aren't legacy anymore. In this architecture, they're the tool library that every future agent gets to call. Two open protocols keep this from being a Pega-only story. Agent to agent, A2A, the protocol Google open-sourced, lets agents discover and delegate to each other across vendors. And the Model Context Protocol, MCP, which came out of Anthropic, has become the universal socket for tools and data. The fabric speaks both. And this is the genuinely new move in Infinity 26. Pega itself is now an MCP server, an agent built on Claude, on Gemini, on Copilot, even on AWS Agent Core. can discover a governed Pega workflow and invoke it directly. No custom integration project. The workflow shows up as a tool. Think about what that means competitively. Your case types become tools that any agent ecosystem can pick up and use. The moat was never going to be the chat interface. The moat is the governed workflow underneath it. Governance is the whole sales pitch here. Every hop is recorded. Which agent acted, which tool it used, which data it touched, under which permission. And an agent can only operate inside the workflow boundaries it was explicitly given. When the regulator asks, why did the system do that? There's an answer in writing. That's why this architecture is aimed squarely at banks, insurers, telecoms, and government. Not because it's the cleverest agent on the market, because it's the most explainable one. In those industries, explainability isn't a feature, it's the entry ticket. There's an economic consequence, and Pega has turned it into their loudest marketing campaign of the year. If runtime barely reasons, runtime barely spends tokens. So they're now selling agentic AI at a flat fee per resolved case. Their campaign literally brands per token pricing as the AI token tax, and they claim the savings run past 20x. That number is marketing until your own workloads reproduce it, but the direction of the logic is sound. And notice what the pricing model reveals about their confidence. You only bet your revenue on bounded runtime behavior if you actually believe the runtime is bounded. The architecture and the pricing are the same story told twice. Now the honest part. One industry analyst called this whole design a workflow engine with a probabilistic front desk. And as a criticism, it's fair. If a request doesn't match any pre-approved workflow, the system escalates to a human, or falls back toward exactly the kind of runtime reasoning Pega warns you about. The long tail of unscripted requests hasn't been solved here. It's been deliberately designed out. Whether that's a limitation or the entire point depends on where you work. In a consumer app, designing out the long tail kills the magic. In a regulated enterprise, we only do what we've approved isn't a bug. It's the exact requirement everyone else is now scrambling to retrofit onto free-running agents. One last thing, that MCP door swings both ways. And in the same release, Pega opened the other direction. A coding agent like Claude Code or Copilot can now build and test Pega applications from the outside through 50+ published agent skills. That changes what our job looks like, and that is the next video.